Good afternoon. Glad that you've chosen to spend some time studying the Bible with us today. Today we're looking at Genesis chapter 1, verses 6 through 8. And God said, "Let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters. And God made the expanse and separated the waters that were under the expanse from the waters that were above the expanse. And it was so. And God called the expanse heaven, and there was evening and there was morning the second day." As we proceed through the days of creation, it sort of starts off slow in a way, I guess, and proceeds to more and more things that we are told about. But here on this day, talking about the expanse, as it says in the ESV, if you're reading the King James, it probably says the firmament. And what the writer means by that, what Moses means by that, or just accepting that he's the writer here, is that it is the atmosphere that's been created. And so when God created at first, the earth was formless and void, without, was void and formless, all that. Okay, so in the Hebrew mind in general, and in many other cultures of that day, the ocean is often seen as chaos, or even at some points seen as evil or suspect, at least. Other cultures, not Hebrew culture, but other cultures saw the oceans as deities, that great bodies of water like that were gods. But the Genesis account really doesn't give us any room for seeing God as nature. In other words, it's common every once in a while you hear somebody talk about, well, Mother Nature, this or that. Okay, no Mother Nature. God is not even Father Nature. Nature is a tool. Nature is a thing God made. He is outside of it. Okay, so there's no room for thinking that God is in the rock and in the tree and in the air. No, he's not. He's transcendent. He made all those things. And so he is separate from his creation. He shows up here in this, it's not like he was gone, but in this little passage. God sees what's there. We see what's there. And it is as though it's as though there is water in some form everywhere, and God separates it. God makes a boundary. He puts the atmosphere there. So there is water under and water above. Could be water vapor, whatever. He makes this boundary. Okay, some people get all wound up because it talks about, like if you read King James, it'll talk about the dome of the firmament. It looks like a dome from where we are. If you look from horizon to horizon, it looks like it gets higher in the middle. But that's just a figure of speech. But the conclusions we can draw is that there is an atmosphere, and in the atmosphere, seemingly at the top of the atmosphere, is where that water vapor is. And so even today, it snows. That comes from up there. It rains and so on. But I think it's interesting, or it's maybe beneficial to us to see something else here. And that God, what he's done here is he is establishing a boundary. He is establishing that these things are going to be here, other things are going to be there. And he establishes this boundary. And, you can see all throughout Scripture, different times, God establishes boundaries. This boundary establishment is the very thing that some people really reject. They don't like that. They think that freedom is when there are absolutely no boundaries. But no boundaries is a recipe for danger, destruction, certainly no assurance. I can take the roof off of my Bronco, and I could take the doors off of my Bronco. And if I do that, I'm going to feel very exposed, very close to the road and all the dangers there. And so, you know what I would do for sure is in that scenario, I would make sure that I had the seatbelt really firmly attached to me, you know, holding me there, because I innately want there to be a boundary there. If I were sleeping on top of the Willis Tower, I would want there to be a fence, a barrier of some sort at the edge. Without that, I'm not going to be able to rest at all. In fact, I'm going to try to stay still in the middle as much as possible. I have no freedom to move about because there's no boundaries. God graciously establishes boundaries in our life for our good, not because he is trying to take something from us. He is trying to help us to flourish. And the boundaries that we can read about in Scripture, the boundaries that God put there, they're for our good. It seems like for the past little while now, through legislation and other, cultural changing cultural norms, we've tried to get rid of a lot of boundaries that God has put there for our good. And what we have gotten for it is a lot of confusion and pain and suffering. But God says those things are for our good, and we'll let him be the wise one, and we'll follow his leading. Well, I hope that you are staying in the Word. I hope you're making plans on being in church tomorrow. If you have a church home, by all means, be there. Plan now. Don't wait till tomorrow to decide whether you're going or not. I always find it interesting, people that wait till they wake up in the morning to decide whether they're going to go to church. We don't do that with almost anything else, but somehow we find ways of rationalizing that behavior. Don't be that person. Make plans now and be there. If you don't have a church home and you're in the Taylorville area, I'd invite you to come to our church, Taylorville First Church of the Nazarene. We're at 300 South Shumway. Our service times are 9:15 for fellowship and Sunday school for children, or for people of all ages, not just children. And 10:30 is our morning worship service. We would love to have you join with us in worship of the living God. Have a great day, and I will see you next time. God bless.